Joining us for more on the Israel-Hamas war is retired Major General David Fraser, CTV military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. Thank you, Major General, for taking the time today.
Always good to be with you.
So I want to begin with the latest that we're hearing out of the region, that Hamas has released 2 more hostages. These are 2 Israelis, and Hamas saying that this is for humanitarian reasons, which is what we heard the last time 2 other hostages were released. What do you make of this latest development?
Well, Hamas is playing their political card by releasing now 2 Americans and 2 Israelis, and their intent is clear. They want to delay and slow down the Israeli ground offensive, which is starting to take shape from the raids that we've been reporting on this morning. So the more that Hamas can be showing that they are releasing hostages, the slower it's going to be for Israel to launch their ground offensive. So this is high-stake politics. This is what Hamas has always done. And the fact that Qatar and now Egypt are involved in this, it should make the ground operations even more pushed off to the right as long as those hostages are being released. And that's what Hamas is buying for. It's time with those hostages.
You know, it's not just Hamas that is trying to buy time, it seems, but the U.S. has also asked Israel to delay its ground offensive so that more hostages can be released, so that these negotiations can continue. But we are seeing continued airstrikes on targets in Gaza, Israeli strikes on targets in Gaza. We are seeing what appears to be a ratcheting of tensions in the region. Give us your assessment of the situation as it is right now, and how different players like the U.S. Are going to be pivotal, perhaps.
So, Lois, you're absolutely right. And the observation is that this is both sides playing with the cards that they have available to them. The Israelis are putting a lot of pressure on Hamas by attacking those aerial targets and using their rockets and other systems to attack. They're pushing back Hezbollah in the north and the West Bank and keeping Syria out of this. So Israel is pushing hard, trying to find the hostages and forcing Hamas to give up the hostages, at the same time not letting this thing disappear off Hamas's radar scope. On the other side, Hamas is using the hostages to buy time. And for the international community, principally if you want to look at United States, there are still Americans who are part of the hostages. America is going to be trying to push to get those Americans out. At the same time, trying to keep this thing contained within the region. So you've got an awful lot of, competing demands and agendas going on here. And Israel is in the middle, just trying to play this and so they can defend themselves, get the hostages out, punish Hamas, while the U.S. is trying to essentially contain this so it doesn't explode into a world conflict.
Just finally, I did want to ask you about Canada coming out and saying that it came to the same conclusion as the U.S. and France when it came to that hospital explosion in Gaza, the deadly explosion. The Canadian Armed Forces reviewed material about this. They performed an independent review. What would they have looked at, and how important is it that Canada is saying what it found?
Well, I think it is important that, first of all, it's the Canadian Armed Forces that will be looking at classified information. The fact that they're not talking about the sources, but the minister has released a independent Canadian Forces assessment, and he said from the intelligence world. So all of that is classified. That real, reporting indicates that politically we are still very much behind Israel in their right of defense, and also indicating that the attack on this hospital wasn't because of them. This is also being verified again by another organization out of the UK and out of France. So more political support for Israel, diffusing the tensions in the region that could ultimately lead this thing to exploding outside of the country. So everyone is working together to try to de-escalate this and stabilize this before it gets any more dangerous.
Just finally here, Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly was asked today about why Canada hasn't come out and called for a ceasefire. There are MPs in Parliament, including Liberal MPs, who have called for this. Joly was saying that Canada is looking for stability and peace in the region to work towards that. Why not a ceasefire at this point?
Because a ceasefire at this point really is not realistic. I mean, Hamas and Israel are into a killing war where they're trying to kill each other. What's important right now, what's happening right now, is that humanitarian support has to happen, and we have now got the southern border with Egypt just opened up. That has to be the full effort of the political reality of what they can achieve. While at the same time, up north, Israel and Hamas are duking it out, and so until those conditions are set that relief is going, and not at a trickle but at a flow, any type of ceasefire is just not realistic.
Okay, retired Major General David Fraser, CTV military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. As always, we thank you for your analysis and insight.
Louis, thank you.